that some of you guys may be a little conflicted because we've got Mega Camp going on. We're going to have a script class today, and I'm traveling to Scottsdale for a business planning clinic on Thursday, plus being a bowl coach, I have some duties with Mega Camp. So I don't want to conflict and attempt to squeeze too much in. So just mark your calendars. No class on Thursday, predominantly due to Mega Camp, and just mark that down. So if you haven't already, most of you guys already have, just a reminder, if you will be kind enough to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am intending on putting everything there. If you haven't been there already, share it with some friends in the office. It may be helpful. Was anyone, you can unmute yourself here a second, and I know that not everyone necessarily is Keller Williams. Was anybody listening to what Gary had to say today on the Mega Camp? Gary went into kind of some detail on, his prognosis of the market. And I also did a little research I want to share really quick before we go into some scripts and role plays, because we had a couple of requests come in. And David, good, you're there. Did anybody hear what Gary said in what he was talking about the market?
No, I sure didn't.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I took some notes and I took some screenshots. I'm going to be sharing some of that stuff with you next week because it's kind of cool. And here's the other thing, you guys. I have a TV spot, as you know, every other week. It's just a small segment, like 3 minutes. And they let me come up with any topic I want. And so I'm always thinking of what is the message of the moment. Well, I've been talking about how great the market is. And there's always the other side of it. And I think it's really good for us to look at the other side, meaning, and even Gary talks and gives evidence to support some reasons why there's going to be a slowdown. And he's not saying a market crash or anything, however, a slowdown. And we all know real estate goes in cycles. My topic this morning on the news was basically the forbearance market. And when you look at it, about 3.5 million, or about 8% of the mortgages are already becoming delinquent. And that's due to forbearance. Now, some of those people might be doing forbearance for convenience, meaning when it first came out, I thought, well, I initially planned on doing forbearance because if I could conserve cash and tack it on to the back end of my mortgage, particularly when COVID first hit, there was a lot of unknowns. Everybody was attempting to shrink their expenses. So I decided to do that. And luckily, before the end of the month, I thought, no, I'm not going to. I have the money, I have the cash flow. I really don't, because there's an unknown about how it might be affected. And at that time, the mortgages I had were with Wells Fargo. They were more than cooperative. I mean, there was no qualifying for the forbearance. And then I found out later that I wanted to refinance one of my investment properties. And had I been in forbearance, I wouldn't have been able to do that. Now, I know that maybe because of the CARES program, the government stimulus package on government loans, Fannie Mae, Freddie, FHA, VA, they have certain requirements. I won't make this a lengthy speech. Just bear with me a moment. There are people out there that are our clients in our database that are in forbearance. There's people out there that may be thinking about it. And, because maybe they need to, and they've had some savings, they make their mortgage payments, whatever. I think it's an opportunity for us to basically even make a social post. We've not done this yet. However, I'm going to be creating a social post on the forbearance. Are you in forbearance? Here's what you should know. Call me. Are you considering having a hard time making your mortgage payments? Are you aware of forbearance, the pros and cons? Call or text me or something like that. Because a lot of people are, here's the thing, once you get used to not making house payments, and there's no guarantee exactly what the payback plan is going to be, most likely, I'm thinking at least on government loans, it won't be a lump sum. They'll be able to tack on a little bit every month through the remainder of their mortgage or tack it on at the end of the mortgage. However, there's going to be some people, and this is what Gary talks about, that won't be able to keep up with their mortgage because their business has been eliminated, their job has been eliminated permanently. So anyway, I'm going to share that with you because that was the message that I had, and I will post that on my socials, the TV spot, and if there's anything worthwhile in there, feel free use it, and I'd encourage you to make a post out of it. I was kind of laughed a little bit when Gary was talking about him and Jay Papazon were on stage today in the main stage at Mega Camp, and he said, now's the time to make hay while the sun is shining. I was thinking, he should give me credit for that. And it really is. And here's the other point I wanted to make. More than ever, right now, the market is doing extremely well, as you know. However, more and more signs and evidences are showing up that it won't last forever. And Gary goes on to say, particularly if someone's in type of a job or industry that because of maybe they're getting along through PPP or other things, if they have some potential of maybe losing their job in the future, or if they're going to be moving anyway in the future, Gary is stressing now is the time to get in the market. So we've been talking about that now at least for 8 weeks, so I feel it more serious than ever before. These are just slides you've seen before. Is when you hear the clicking stop, and it's too late. So it isn't too late yet. Okay, so I had two things happen today. One, I had a request come in. I thought this was an excellent role play. And I had another one come in, which we'll do next. So, and anything you want to role play, you can type in the chat. I had one come in that basically, and this is one I have not heard before. And from what I understand, a seller is not willing to put the home on the market for an official listing. She wants it to be a pocket listing. Now, what I don't know is if it's going to be a pocket listing just for one agent or more than one, and you know, we can role play it either way, or if somebody wants to give me clarity on that, that's fine. However, her concern is she did not want the clock to start on the days on the market. So I'd like to handle this role play, and would anybody like to role play with me as that seller?
Hey, Danny, let's do it.
All right. So, hi, David. Can you give me some clarity? Okay, so you just be the seller. So David, I understand you want to sell, correct?
Right. Yes.
Awesome. And are you prepared to give me an exclusive listing on your home?
Yes, I'm prepared to give an exclusive listing. I would like you to bring the buyer. You know, you'll make all the money, and I'm just don't want to have it published. I want it to be a private sale.
Okay, so now I'm going to stop right here just for a second and open it up for the people that have been in the class before. Remember, there's kind of a formula to follow. I don't want you ever to get like whacked out on anything somebody says. If they say, listen, I don't want to sell the house until we find Jimmy Hoffa, or until somebody can actually verify what Area 51 is all about. No matter what they say, the formula is the same. So if I said, hey, listen, I don't want to sell until we can verify UFOs exist in Area 51, what might you say to me if you're strictly following the formula? Come on, guys. Come on. That's like everyone, you know, we're in geography class. We're looking at the globe. Please point to the United States. And I hear crickets. All right, so the formula is what? Write it down, write it down, write it down. Acknowledge. All right, that's first. Isolate, answer, and close. So when you have this, here's the beauty of this. Before we go back to role playing with David, when you understand the formula, you will never be thrown off on having a conversation about something irrational like, all right, so I don't want to sell my house till we verify that Area 51 has UFOs. You would say what? What is the acknowledge part? Somebody talk.
Yeah.
I understand you don't want to sell until you you prove there's aliens at Area 51.
Yes, that's the acknowledge part. Now what's next?
What information do you want about the aliens to confirm their existence?
Okay, now again, all right, James. So here, just bear with me on this a little bit. Let me just Mr. Miyagi you just a little bit. That is kind of digging into what I want you to learn to do is don't dig, unpack, or unload, I should say, then unpack. So other than that,
there we go.
There you go. So what you want to do is get in the habit of other than verifying aliens in Area 51, is there any other reason you wouldn't do business with me? See, if you follow that formula and you keep going, well, okay, well, I want to know where Jimmy Hoffa's buried. Then you would say what?
Other than that, is there any other reason why you wouldn't list with me today?
Yeah, and you might give them a little acknowledgement. Okay, now I know you've got it. Is there any other reason why you, other than that, you wouldn't list with me today? And you keep going till they cry, uncle. No, that's it. Those are the 10 things. Now, then what's next? Come on, somebody make me impressed. Linda, come on. Whenever a buyer or seller that you're working with gives you a list of things, what you want to do is then say, okay, I understand, you've listed 3 or 4 things here, and you may want to name them off. Aliens, Jimmy Hoffa, when the Bucks, finally beat the Saints, and you got to find another house. Which one is the most important to you? What you want to do is then when you have the list, I want you to remember they don't all remain in the client's or prospect's mind as equally weighted. Have them prioritize for you.
Okay. Okay.
Are you talking to me or somebody else?
I was talking to you. I was just saying, okay, I understand what you mean.
Got it. So now, all right, so let's go back to David now. So now that's the formula. So at some point in time when they say, okay, now I'm going to go back to James. I think it was James who had said something. Well, I want to make sure they have aliens. I'm just like big time into this space warp stuff. Okay, now you want to go ahead and dig a little bit on that one. So if we can answer any concerns you have about aliens in Area 51, and you felt comfortable, would you be willing to move forward? So that's the formula. So we're going to go back to David. So David, to understand. So thank you so much. So basically you're saying you want me to be your exclusive listing agent. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's right, Danny.
Right. All right. And you had mentioned that you don't want me to activate it on the multiple listing service because you don't want it to appear that like maybe you're on the market too long.
Yeah, I don't want it to become stale. I know I'm asking a little bit high, and I'm sure you have enough buyers to bring them over and get it sold.
Okay, now other than that, I'm just demonstrating to you, other than you're not wanting it to get stale on the market, is there any other reason why you wouldn't want to expose it? Now watch this, you wouldn't want to expose it to the maximum number of buyers that might be buying your house.
That's pretty much it. I'd like to keep it private. I don't want days on market to accumulate. And I'm aware, Danny, that this might not be the best scenario to get it exposed to everybody else. But that's what I want to do right now. I just want you to have the listing, and bring over buyers. You could bring over as many buyers as you want and sell it.
Okay. Now here again. Now, is this a terrible situation in general, guys? I mean, you're having the opportunity. In fact, how many of you would love the opportunity to have a lot of pocket listings, this, that, and the other? Because in some respects, in some markets and price ranges, they're selling very fast. So this is kind of a real plus. So David's not really in a major pickle. I sense he really wants to do what's right for the client, and so. The issue would be this, and I said, okay, now David, whenever you're in a position where you're talking to buyers or sellers on pricing, maybe an offer come in there, you're negotiating, there's a gap between buyer and seller, or maybe a disagreement about the next step, you always go back, first of all, to motivation. And again, I'm going to say, so David, I understand that. And so remind me of where you're moving and why.
So I have a place down in Florida, and my sister is moving out of her apartment here in the area, so I could be there if I need to be here in the area. And I just, want to take advantage. I spent a lot of money in 2008. I paid I believe 610 for this house, and I strongly feel we can get that back right now in this market.
All right, and so you wanted to get to Florida because your sister's there?
Yeah, I have family there. I have a place down there, and the taxes are very high on this house right now. I just don't need this expense. I mean, I can afford it, but I don't need it. So I feel, I could do well without this house.
Okay, and when would you like to be in Florida?
So usually I go down there for the winter. December, I would be looking to be down there.
So when I started asking this question, when does she want to be there? Where am I going, gang?
When do you want to sell the house?
Pardon me?
You're asking him, but when is his time frame that he wants to get rid of the house, sell the house?
Yeah. Yes, exactly right. And what I want to do is I'm starting to lay the groundwork. When would you like to be there? As soon as possible. They already have a house there. They want to be with family. And the other thing that I'm doing is digging for the emotional connection.
Emotional connection.
Did you hear what David said in the narrative? Now, at one time, his concern initially was days on the market and it appearing like it stales. Then just a moment ago, he said, this is why listening is important, that he paid $600 for it. And again, I don't know. I mean, I would think if you bought it in 17, it would be worth more than that. And particularly, David, you seem to be pricing it aggressively. What would you be wanting to price it at?
$599.
And okay, and so they paid $600 for it?
They paid $610 for it, yeah.
All right, so basically you want to get as much as your money back as possible, right?
Right, yeah.
So let me ask you this now, because there's two issues there, and I'm really seeking to understand. Remember, David, this is how I look at it. Everybody's this big ball bearing, and I'm looking for a handle. I'm attempting to find the doorknob to open up to get inside this big sphere called David. And so what's more important to you, getting to Florida by December or getting closer to your number of $599?
I want my number. If I don't get that number, I'm not going to sell. So that's why, I'm concerned to have it on the MLS. And if it doesn't sell in 3 months from now, it's not going to look good for me. And, if I ever decide to sell it again in the future, that's my concern over here.
And other than the fact you don't think it won't look good, is there any other reason?
No, that's it.
So let me ask you a question. What's more important to you, getting your number or looking good to the people who don't matter?
Getting my number.
Okay. So here, my question to you is, and I appreciate your faith in me, do you know how many agents there are that service this marketplace?
Probably 2,000 in this area.
Right. And if there were a tug of war, basically, I was on one end of the rope and the 2,000 other agents were on the other end of the rope, who would win that tug of war?
The other agents.
Got it. Now, let's just change the metaphor and say, okay, now if all those 2,000 agents, let's assume only half of them have a potential buyer that might meet your needs. Compared to me, if you got 1,000 potential buyers, compared to the ones I have, let's say I have 5, which group would you, what group would you want to be pulling from?
Well, I understand that, if you expose it to all the other agents, my chances increase to get top dollar for this home. But I'm not looking for a bidding war, Danny. I'm just looking to get the 600. And I mean, you could, without publishing on the MLS, you could put it out to the other agents and talk to them. You know, if they have a buyer, you could split the commission with them.
Okay. And how long are you willing to go? Because now do you acknowledge that that is not the most efficient way to maximize your equity in the shortest amount of time? Do you acknowledge that?
Yes, I get that. Yeah.
Then how long will you be patient to take the long way around instead of the short way?
Maybe if I see in 4 or 6 weeks, you know, if we're not getting any results, at that point, maybe I'll change my mind and let you put it out on the MLS. But I first want to try it this way.
Now I'm going to stop a moment and I'll let you guys ask some questions. Here's the thing that I'm wondering. If I were the listing agent, if I were the agent in that scenario, I don't know how much more I would push. Now I might go one more. So let me ask you this, David. There's, you know, we've got an election coming up, and there's some people saying that now is the best time to sell, and in maybe 6 weeks or 8 weeks, it won't be as good a time. How would you feel if 6 or 8 weeks from now your home, instead of being worth $590, it's worth $525?
I wouldn't feel so good. You know, I would have to wait until the market rebounds again, but definitely wouldn't feel too good about it.
Got it. And again, you did say that you're tired of the expenses and so forth in that house, right?
Right, right.
So generally real estate goes in 8 to 10 year cycles. So if basically we've been on about a 9 year or 10 year runs going up. So if it decides to basically turn the other way, would you be willing to stay there in that house and carry those expenses for the next 8 or 10 years?
Probably. I mean, look, I can't afford these taxes. I don't know, for 8, 10 years, maybe 2, 3 years, but I wouldn't sell if the market crashes right now. I would probably still stick around for a while.
Well, you don't have to sell if the market crashes. You can sell at the top of the market. And you know what? Here I'm stepping out of role, you guys. I would probably take the listing, and as long as I've given David enough ammunition to say, listen, you know, can I just be your doctor for a moment? I think doing surgery. In fact, I just went to the orthopedic guy, and I have a torn rotator cuff. I don't know if anyone's been through that surgery. And he's telling me that now, get it done now and don't let it get any worse, because the longer I go, the worse it gets. Now he's telling me, he's giving me his professional advice. He's leaving it up to me. As long as I think we have done that for our clients, whether it be a buyer or seller, there's our professional advice based on, you know, what could happen. Here's my recommendation. If we've gone that far, I think we're honoring our fiduciary, and I probably wouldn't die on the hill any more than that. David, I'd probably take the listing and set a time to reevaluate it, probably, and maybe have a conversation in 2 or 3 weeks and see if their motivation hasn't changed, if there hasn't been something they've seen on the headlines, you know, maybe change their mind, or as the leaves start to turn in New York, they start thinking of Florida more, or as they propose new taxes, you know, something might have changed. Now, you guys that are listening, or including David, any other thoughts on that particular role play? What would you do from that point on? For me, I mean, I think I covered, I mean, it doesn't sound like anything I said is moving him, and he's willing to be moved, just not yet. Anybody, now I would have a different mindset if he was going to give me an open-ended listing, an open listing, and 4 other agents. Now I'm fighting for exclusivity. However, I already have the listing. So you guys listening, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Denny, I got a thought. You could ask him if he if in fact he thinks that the market's going to continue to rise, or at some point it's going to reverse itself.
And
More likely, he's going to say it's going to reverse itself. And then you explain to him that right now it's like we're on a roller coaster and we're just going clog after clog after clog, you know, as the market increases. But at some point, that roller coaster is going to hit the top of the hill. And when it does, it's going to happen just like it happened for you back when you purchased in 2008. It's going to drop off.
Got it. So, David, I mean, that's a similar question that I asked. However, it's a different one. What would you say as a seller, David?
I would take the risk. You know, I don't see it happening anytime soon because the interest rates are so low right now. There's so little inventory available. So I would take the risk, you know, for a certain time to get it sold without putting it out there.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Anyone have a key to unlock David?
Well, Denny, do you think like in this market, especially where there's buyer fatigue, where they're putting in multiple offers and they're losing out, that they're getting to the point where if you had a pocket listing and you went to all the other brokers and promoted it, that you wouldn't probably have a really fairly easy time of selling it, even without going in the MLS, because there's so many buyers that are hungry?
Fair. So, David, assume you're the agent on that. What is your thought?
So let me understand again. You feel that I will be able to sell it without putting it on the MLS by putting it out to other agents? Is that what you're saying, James?
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the Arizona market. I'm not sure in New York where you are if it's the same, but we have so many buyers that are so frustrated of losing out on deals. You know, they put in offers and they don't get it because it's on the MLS and then it's gone in a few days. So I would think if you said, fine, let me promote it in the marketplace and to all the other brokers in town, that you might be able to find a buyer just that way and be able to get it sold.
So you're really on my side. You agree not to publish it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's what I want to do.
So what is her opposition to doing that then? She sounds like she wants that too, right?
She wants that too. Yeah, I'm trying to convince her to put it on the MLS, and that's where I'm getting pushback. She doesn't want to do that.
No, but I'm saying you don't need to put on the MLS. I think if you just promote it word of mouth and you know, get some pictures and do it yourself without putting on MLS, I think you'll still be able to get buyers.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Right.
Does your MLS allow you to take a listing like that and not put it in an MLS?
No, we got 48 hours. We have to put it in.
Yes, we're strict too. How about you, David?
We can do it. It's called an office exclusive. There's a special form we make them sign that to make them aware that it's not in their best interest not to have it on the MLS, and then only I could market it, you know, and sell it for them.
Well, if it were legal in y'all's market, how many people would like to have a lot of sellers like David's?
For sure.
Yes. How about putting it on the socials? What if you did it on your socials? If you're allowed to do that, hey, you've got some sellers, shadow sellers that maybe you don't want to say that. You'd have to define it. You know, some sellers that I have some privately, maybe you say pocket listings. I don't know. Yeah, I have a home, and basically a $600,000 house in your market probably is going to move pretty fast. So I would say congratulations that she has enough faith in you that she will give you an exclusive pocket. And I think it's a blessing.
Okay. One more question. This concern with days on market, is that a valid concern? Is there any way to handle that?
Well, all right. Fair enough question. And I know there's different schools of thought on this. I'll give you mine. Does anyone basically have their theory? I've got a buddy of mine in Alexandria, Virginia. I just spent time with him because I was in DC for a while. And he swears that days on market are significant in the sale of the home. Anybody else on the call have an opinion or thought on that?
Denny, do you think it's only continuous days on market? Or are you concerned that something's been put on in 2017 and taken off and put back on 2019 and taken off? Which are you more concerned about?
That would be an interesting question. I'm not concerned about days on the market. I don't think days on the market are that important. Let's just talk initially about consecutive days on the market. So they've been with one agent, didn't sell, another agent didn't sell. And so you've got 360 days on the market. Or some people are concerned, this lady's concerned to have 90 days on the market and not sell. So, or this lady, David. So what are y'all thoughts on that? Do you think days on the market, if you were asked by a seller if days on the market or a buyer, let's talk about a buyer. If you were asked, if a buyer were to ask you, hey, listen, are days on the market, is that an indication that maybe we can get a better deal?
Well, Denny, wouldn't you take them to the fishing boat at that point? Go, look, if you've been on the market for 90 days, you've had no showings and no offers, then what does that tell you?
Well, I get it talking to a seller. However, is the days on the market, when a buyer sees the days on the market, is that going to hurt? Is that going to basically like being throwing blood in the water? And buyers are going to say, 90 days on the market, I'm going to make a lowball offer or something, or there must be something wrong with the house. Does it stigmatize the property?
I think to certain people it might.
Fair?
Yeah, I think certain people it might.
And I think the longer it's on the market, the more people are willing to make a low ball offer because they think, okay, something's going on. I can probably pick this up because they're going to start getting desperate. You don't know their motivation, but the longer it sits, it seems like the worse for the seller.
Right.
Yeah, I think it depends on the MLS also. Here in Arizona, or at least in the Phoenix area, they changed the rules recently where you can take a house off for 45 days. And by doing so, it'll restart the clock.
Yeah, of course, that's something to remember for you too, David. Here's my thought on this, and I think it's an important point to make a note of because I want you to remember. My theory is that days on the market at the same price will indicate them you're in out, and you don't know as the buyer's agent. James, you bring up a good point. You don't know as a buyer's agent, are they an outcome 1 or 2? Unless, of course, your MLS can track number of showings on a listing. So if you have a house on the market 30 days and you're working with a buyer and it's at the same price, I think it's fair to say that it's not a steal. Fair enough? It's not that doesn't mean it won't sell the day after you show it. I'm just saying if it lasts that long in the marketplace for most markets, it's probably a little aggressive.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I think I want you to know. I want you to make sure you make your buyers know. Days on the market is a secondary instrument, not a primary one. And I say that being a pilot, we have primary instruments, we have secondary instruments. The primary instrument is a price change. For example, let's take David's example of a $595,000 house. Let's say the seller wants to list it at $750,000. Now, clearly 50% overvalue probably would be an outcome number 1. And, after like 6 months, it probably wouldn't sell. So they relist it again. And again, the new listing starts at day 1. We have an RMLS, the cumulative days on the market. You probably have that too. Now you're at 181 days. Now, just by looking at that, you would think that that house is like way overpriced. However, what if overnight the seller decided to go from $750,000 to $550,000?
Wow. Now
you're showing days on the market at 181 and days on the market at the new price 1. You see what I'm saying?
Are you going to be exposed to completely new buyers now at that price range?
It starts over, although the days on the market continue to add up and the cumulative days on the market will in multiple listing agent scenarios. Once you adjust that price at a significant level, once you reposition to a significant level, I'm not talking about going down 50 cents. you opened it up to a new set of eyeballs. And in my mind, in my theory, some people may disagree with this. In my theory, I think it starts the clock over. Now, there's one more thing I want you to think about, and we'll talk about it just a little bit, is that when many times when you get sellers that they have an over, and we'll talk about that in the next role play, sellers have an over aggressive expectation of what their house will bring, even in this market. That's true. Over time, though, if they're motivated, sooner or later, reality sets in. They capitulate to the market. Buyers, likewise, that come into the marketplace, you've seen them, they act too slow, they miss out, they make offers when they should be, you know, making stronger offers, they miss out. At some point in time, you guys, if a buyer has motivation, at some point in time, they will capitulate to the market, meaning their frustration curve goes up over time. And so if you have a home that's been on the market 30 or 60 days and there's no action, and you then lower the price down into an acceptable range, and now you're day 61, I believe the buyer who has been in the market that has been seasoned, the days on the market will not deter them from making a strong offer, because it really, they know what the value is more than you do, more than sellers do, because they've looked at everything. And they look at everything when you're not even with them, right, online. So those are the variables. So going back to your question, David, well, let me stop. You guys have any thoughts or questions or thumbs up? You agree with that logic or not?
That makes sense to me. I'm new, so it makes a lot of sense to me.
Danny, the only thing psychologically, though, if you have that many days on market and they do a big drop, like you're talking a $200,000 drop, wouldn't the buyers in the market at that point go, oh, there's something wrong with this property, I'm going to go even lower now because they really got to get rid of this thing, something's up, even though they just brought it down to what the market should be, where it should have been in the first place? You think psychologically, looking at those two factors together, they go, man, I think I can really go lower to get this house?
Maybe, or maybe the fear of loss would make you jump at it, James. Let's say you're really looking for a 69 Z28 Camaro, cherry condition, all redone, original, blah, blah, blah. And you saw it at Barrett Jackson auction, and the guy wanted like, you know, 800,000, which is stupid. And, you know, and you've been shopping for a 69 Z28, and all of a sudden you see one, they have that $800,000 car, we'll just make it $100,000 or $200,000. They bring it down to 65,000. Now, realistically, if you've been in the market, you know value.
Yes.
So
right. If they've been shopping for a while, yeah, you're right.
I think one of two things would happen. That may, hey, this guy's desperate. Maybe I can lowball him. You're exactly right. Or I better get while the getting's good. Somebody told me a long time ago, never steal in slow motion. So if you can get a great deal on something, you act. So one of those two motivations would happen. So your thought is legitimate. However, I think the buyer with motivation will act. And you know what? In this market, there's more than one buyer with motivation. So if they don't, somebody else will.
Right.
Any other discussion about that? Now, again, going back to what you said, David, you asked a question. I just took the Moses trip around the mountain two times. So ask the question again about days on the market.
So the question was, if days on the market accumulate, and I know you might be able to reset on the MLS, but Zillow, you know, they don't take those days off. Would that be in the seller's favor or against? You know, if it sits such a long time on the market, and as James said, I'm always coming from, you know, the mindset of a buyer would be, if it's sitting such a long time on the market, even though I see now a certain price drop, let me lowball this guy.
Well, I have a different take on it.
Okay.
I think if it was something that was on sale, call it a woman. I've been searching around. I know what the value is. If there was a price reduction, I would feel as though I was getting a better deal because it had already had a price reduction.
Well, at some point in time, if you're shopping and you see that a jacket or sport coat or whatever, you know, and they see it market down at some point in time, you know, you'll recognize it and you buy it. And I think that's what you're saying, Linda. If not, you can clarify it. What I want to point out, if you can see this, I'm sorry if it's hard to read, you know my A and B and top dollar. The efficiency theory in the market is this. When a property gets into the realm of top dollar, the market's efficient enough, the market will always act. Now, in the market, there's all types of buyers. There's the unrealistic ones, there's the motivated ones, serious ones, etc. The more motivated the buyer, and there's more than one in the marketplace in the sweet spot price range, as you come down, and so let's just assume you had a home that was $50,000 overvalued. And let's say you just want to take it down $100 a day. Now, every day you take it down $100 and you even publish, we're going to lower it $100 a day until this home sells. There's going to be, going back to James's point, there's going to be those that are say, okay, I'm going to wait the day when it gets down to $100, right? I'm going to keep waiting. However, the totally opposite of that theory is that somebody is going to think, okay, now it's getting close to this line. And yes, part of them wants to wait another day to save $100. However, their fear of loss, that they don't act now, somebody else is going to get it. And you can see if you, let's just do $1,000 a day instead of 100. At some point in time, when you get to that point of top dollar, the market's going to step in, regardless of days on the market. When you're talking about the serious buyers, not the buyers who aren't serious. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yes.
So the efficiency theory in the market is the closer you get the real market value in a market like we're in. And you guys, I can't stress enough how fortunate we are right now, because the opposite of the market we're in is the market is kind of retreating. Now, if you think basically we have a hard time with some sellers now, if the market starts to retreat, we're going to have hard times with sellers and buyers. Because where's the motivation of a buyer to step in if it's worth $100 or $1,000 less every week? They're going to watch the market fall. That's called the pause in a market shift. So believe me, you guys, right now, it is the best market we can ever expect, because buyers have the fear of loss and they see the upward pressure on price and they want to get. And I call it the herd mentality. They heard it's going to be good, so they're doing it. So days on the market, I don't think are a factor. Why this lady? Now again, I think you're actually have a blessing there, David, and I would hope you could double end that.
Amen.
There you go. And 25% referral fee. I'll split it with everybody on the call for your contribution.
We like that.
All right, so let's go to the next one. I want somebody else to do it. I want you guys to follow the model. Did anybody write down the model?
Wrote it down.
Did you write down?
You mean acknowledge, isolate, answer, close?
Yeah, there you go. So here we go. This came up today on Huddle when I was in the mega camp. Somebody from the crowd set this in, and we did a quick little role play on it. I thought it was good. The other agency said they could get me more money than you, so I will go with the other agent. Who would like to take that, and I'll be the seller? Come on, you only learn by doing this. Now, it's time for you to step up into the driving range and swing the golf club. Who will start it out? Then you can tag somebody else, okay?
Okay, how about I understand the other agent said they would give you more money. How would they gonna do that?
Okay. Now, James, that your first question?
Yes.
All right. What's the model say?
Acknowledge.
Did
and
you
then
acknowledge
isolate.
it?
Okay.
Was that your acknowledgement?
Yes.
I didn't feel very acknowledged. Tell me something like, oh, I understand. Give me some sort of like, before you attack me, let me feel good. So James, you got this.
All right, I understand that you want to get the most money for your house.
Well, why don't you just say, I understand.
Okay.
I understand. See how, even when you hear, you guys that are listening to the role play and you guys are watching this take place, doesn't that kind of make you feel kind of good? Like, whoa, there's no tension there. He didn't make me feel bad. I understand. Now inside your brain, you're thinking, crap. However, you're going to acknowledge it. So understand now. Now you want to isolate.
Okay, can you share with me how the other agent said they were going to get you more money for your house than I could?
Now, okay, so now you're digging into this.
Okay.
You're not asking me, you're not isolating why I'm going to go with the other agent.
Other than that, why would you go with did you want to go with the other agent?
Perfect. Write those words down, you guys. Other than that, that will help be the key. Other than the fact they said they'd get you more money, is there any other reason why you wouldn't hire me to get your home sold? So, okay, well, yeah. They said they'd give me a 30-day listing.
Other than that, is there any other reason why you wouldn't list with me?
Now again, you went to where's my love?
Acknowledge.
Yeah. Okay. It can be something else. Okay, I get it. I understand. See, you got to go back through that. You can find different ways to say that. And sometimes it can be, okay, I see, whatever. So it's like when you watch Molly and I, when you go, and we post these, I think I post them on my YouTube channel. Molly and I do these little bold niblets. They're like 10-minute videos. And she is probably one of her acknowledgement is so awesome. Like, I feel like, oh, I feel so special when she's disagreeing with me, right? So, all right. So yeah, the other agent said they'd do it. Take a 30-day listing. James?
I see. Okay, that's
I feel good. Nice. And I missed the second part. What did you say?
So then, other than that, is there any other reason why you wouldn't list with me?
Yes. Now again, what happens is that's the formula. However, when you get into the groove a little bit, you'll find a different way to say the same thing. So, however, that's okay. I'd rather you just say the same thing than not say it. Oh yeah, they said they discount their commission.
Okay, that's great.
Nice.
Anything else that would keep you from working with me?
All right, good. No, that's about it. Aren't you glad I stopped at 3, right? What's next?
Of those, which is the most important to you in selling your house?
Okay. Well, they said probably getting the most money. Now, anyone can pipe in here. Now, he's done an awesome job of acknowledging and isolating. At some point in time, we're going to have to do some surgery.
So what I hear you saying, Denny, is that you want to maximize the most money and sell your house quickly. Is that correct?
Well, no. I mean, the numbers you gave me here, William, you said 450, 475 range. The other agent's giving me 5.25. So I don't need to sell fast. I mean, I have a house in Florida to go to. It's ready, and I don't have to give my house away.
So you're more concerned with bringing home a higher net for your property.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you guys: is this realistic? Could you have a conversation like this because the other agent is maybe buying the listing?
Very realistic. It happens all the time.
Okay. Keep going. We've got like 6 minutes. You got to close me. I'm tired of doing all the heavy lifting. That's why I've got a bad shoulder.
So Danny, let me ask you a question. This other agent that promised you to get this number, let's say, what is it, 515, would they agree to put that number into the listing agreement? And, you know, let's say if all the offers come in below that number, would they agree to null and void the contract with you?
I don't know. We didn't really talk about that.
Why don't you ask them that question? And, you know, I'm sure that they will sing a different tune if you ask them that question.
Now, what David is using is I know it's a script from Bold. And here's the thing, and I like it. The challenge with that script is you're letting go of the client to go ahead and, you know, list with them. Okay, now you're going to leave. What's the probability you think that agent's going to, or that seller's going to make them put that in the contract after you're gone? I think on paper, it's awesome. It's kind of like the Bucks playing the Saints. On paper, we were awesome. We just didn't perform that well. And so what'll happen is that seller, I believe, will probably list with the other agent and not have that in there. That would be my fear. So it's a good script. So let's not go down that road. What other things could you ask me or whatever in order for you to end up with this listing? What do you really want to know?
What is the least amount are you willing to take for your home? I guess.
Now, okay, fair. Any question is a good question. I don't know that I'd ever ask a seller that. Now, I'm not saying I'm not coming down on you. I'm saying, like, I don't want my agent, even thinking that.
Right.
So again, I'm not busting you. I'm just saying, I probably wouldn't ask that. Does anybody else agree? I mean, if you're an agent, if you're selling something, well, what's the least you're going to take? Like, what do you mind? I don't want to even think about like that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Denny.
Okay, groovy. And I know you're just learning Saints, so you know.
Yeah.
All right. What do you really want to know?
Would you ask what more money means to you?
Okay. Well, I mean, I want to have to redo that house in Florida, and so I need, I think it's worth this. I've been on Zillow. You see the money I put into this? I think it's worth $525. And you're saying $450, $460. So that's an extra, probably $50,000, $60,000 for me.
Well, I think we should first address the price that you feel is the best price for your property to sell. Because basically, as your agent, I'm here to represent you and to do the best job that I can do for you. So if you felt as though, or if you feel as though that higher price is something that you would like to go with, then let's go with it. We can go back and adjust the price, talk about how we're doing on the market in a couple of weeks to find out where you are, if we haven't sold it in that time frame.
Okay.
But
Linda, I like the direction you're going. So what would you say? What would you ask me?
what would I ask?
Because we only do questions here. You're on the right trail, totally.
Then I would ask, what price would you like us to initially go in with an offer for on your house?
Well, I mean, you've already kind of showed your hand, Linda. You're saying 450, 460. I like this other agent better because they said 500 to 525.
Well, basically, as an agent, I'm here to represent you and give you the most accurate information that.
Question.
How would you feel if 30 days from now, your house is still in the market and you've had nobody, no offers.
Got it. Well, here's the thing. All right, this is how I would play that hand, and Linda was tracking right down that road. So Linda, pop up. You're going to be the seller right now, okay? So Linda, are you saying, obviously you're having a meeting with me, and you must like me, right? Because I'm still here. If I were to list your home at 525, are you prepared to list your home with me today?
Yes.
Bingo. Take the listing. Now there's a caveat if they have motivation. It's like me going to the doctor today. The doctor says I've got to have my shoulder operated on, and the longer I wait, the better. He didn't make me, Denny, schedule your surgery now. So, okay, if I will take an overpriced, over-aggressive seller if they have motivation. The only thing, Linda, I was attempting to have you do, and you were thinking was right, is to, what you really want to know is, if I take it to 525, number one, will you list with me? The second thing we want to know is, Linda, what will you do if the market says no?
Right. Exactly. Exactly what I was thinking, and that was a more precise, concise way to say that.
Yes, you're totally tracking it the right way. And this is why we go over this all the time, is because it's the skill and the art of asking the questions. And the other thing, for example, in this particular thing, other questions you can ask the seller is, well, okay, so, and David used a good script. They ask for a price reduction in the future, make them cancel the contract. That's one you can use. I'll sometimes say, is that what they said they could get you? Or is that what they said they could get you? Or what did they show you? So obviously there's no evidence to support that. And then, I mean, probably my first direction would be, hey, listen, I mean, obviously you must like me because I'm here. So if I were to list your home at 525, are you prepared to do business with me today? Awesome. Now I will go through the side effects. And the next question would be, I'd shake hands. It's kind of like the signing of the listing contract. And the next question is important. What will you do if the market says no? Well, what do you mean? Well, I mean, if there's 3 outcomes, I'd go over the 3 outcome sheet. If you don't have that, you go to Denny Grimes Mastermind on Facebook, and you can get that PDF, go over the 3 outcomes, and et cetera. And so, well, I mean, I want to get to Florida by December. So I guess if the market says no, I guess I may have to come down a little. Okay. So that's how I would handle that. And I know we're right at the 2 o'clock, and that's okay. I can wait a few more minutes here. Any comments on that, you guys, on that process? Amazing how fast this time goes.
I think you nailed it there, Danny.
Anybody have an aha moment?
Oh, I definitely did. I wanted to debate and give her A to Z, but yeah, just get the listing. You can deal with it and set it up after that.
What do they say, Denny? Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. It's like I said this. I said this on the role play today. I said to the seller, I forget the numbers. Let's just say number 525. At 525, you win, right? Yeah. At 525, I win too, right? So, hey, listen, we're on the same team here. However, what are we going to do if the market says no to that? You see, now we're together. I'm rooting for you because we both win. However, it's the market we have to convince. So I trust that helps. David, I trust you got something out of that role play, and it might be helpful. And anything else? No class on Thursday. Next week will be Tuesday and Thursday. Invite your friends. I know this one was a little bit lighter because we've got a lot of KW people on Mega Camp. So if I can be of service to you, let me know. You be careful out there.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Have a safe trip. That's like the best courses. This is like the best one, man.